Hello, welcome everybody to our Admitted International Student webinar Q&A session. We're glad to have you join us. And I'm Naya Buriel. I'm the program coordinator for global health here at the Gillings School. And I'm joined by my colleague.
Good morning, I'm Johnston King. I am the enrollment management coordinator here at Gillings, and I get to work with admissions and recruitment for all of the graduate programs here at Gillings. We're happy to have you here today.
So I just wanted to give a little bit of overview in terms of what my role here is, and then we can go into explain several offices and units here at the school and around campus, just for you all to get to know the differences. So I work in research, innovation, and global solutions here at the Gillings School. In my unit and my job, I help support and promote all of the global health work here by faculty, staff, and students. And a portion of that is international students. So doing programming for international students while you all are here, and ensuring that you have a good experience here at the Gillings School. So that's kind of what my unit does in terms of international students. So if you do have any questions as you're making your decisions, please feel free to email me or my unit, and we'll be sure to answer your questions or figure out who would be best to answer those questions.
And if you have any general school questions or who to contact, please always feel free to email me and contact me at johnston_king@unc.edu, and we'll be sharing our contact information with you all as well.
So then a unit that you should know about is the International Student and Scholars Office that is at the FedEx building here on campus. The International Student, so we're going to call it ISSS. So ISSS is your main home in terms of visas, just general information that you will need to do prior to your arrival to coming to UNC Gillings. So whenever, you have a specific question geared towards your visa, your status, anything of that nature, that is the unit that you will be going to. My unit works closely with them. And the FedEx building is a campus-wide building that houses a lot of the different global institutes. So we have the Carolina Asia Center there. We have the Center for Global Initiatives. I believe it's called Latin American Studies is also there. So that's kind of the area that a lot of our global work is happening university-wide. Yeah, so let's get into it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And we have the chat function open for the Zoom webinar. So as we're going through, please feel free to send us any questions that you have, and we will definitely address those. But we did base a lot of this discussion this morning on the questions that we received from people as they were registering and signing up. So we want to make sure that this is useful and helps address the questions that you have about life here at UNC Gillings.
So we'll just give a brief overview of what we'll be talking about. So with the questions that you sent in, we divide them up into various topics, so housing and transportation, and then funding and jobs, academics, weather, and then resources. So for housing, these are some of the questions that were asked. What is the general cost of living for on-campus versus off-campus? What are some close and convenient housing options, and is a car required?
So Naya, if you're okay, I'd like to start out with the first question, because this is a common question that I discussed with a lot of my colleagues that work at other graduate programs and other graduate programs at schools and programs with public health. And we kind of, as admissions professionals, feel like when looking at that average cost of living for 1 year, the general range is going to be around 16,000 US dollars. And of course, what's really difficult about answering that question is everybody has different lifestyle preferences. And so it's tough to really create one number that takes into consideration all the different preferences that people have. But the most common range that I hear from my colleagues around the country is at different schools is going to be around $16,000 a year for cost of living.
Great. So some of the options that we have, so we do have on-campus housing options. Two of them are, it's called Mason Farm Graduate Housing. Those are apartment-style housing, and those are geared more towards graduate students who are looking for roommates. And then we have Beatty Hill, which is geared towards graduate students who have families. So those are the two on-campus housing options. And if you see on our screen, we've put the link to the on-campus apartments. And then our UNC Student Affairs, so the main UNC Student Affairs for the campus, has actually put together a great off-campus housing tool to help students either find roommates off campus or find affordable apartments off campus that are close to campus as well. So please use those two links for your reference in terms of finding housing. And then, is a car required? It is not required. Please do know that parking, if you do have a car, then you would have to pay for parking on campus. So take that into consideration in terms of where you think you would like to live. If you are considering living off campus, there are various ways to get to campus. So the bus system is free in Chapel Hill. And a lot of our students also bike to campus as well.
Yeah, around town we're very fortunate to have biker-friendly lanes along all the major roads, and we also have the Chapel Hill transit system. And most of the Chapel Hill transit buses are bright and blue, and they're hard to miss driving around town. And those are free for students to use. And then also students who choose to live outside of Durham, outside of Chapel Hill, and maybe Durham and other Triangle areas do have access to the Triangle Transit bus system, which is, they do have a little bit, there's a small charge with that, I think, for students. Is that correct?
I think there's a tiny charge. Small charge. And so where students, some grad students live is Chapel Hill, and then there's the nearby town of Carborough. Literally right next door. So a lot of our grad students end up living there, and then some do live in Durham and Raleigh.
It's a 1.5 mile walk from the School of Public Health here at Gillings to the middle of Carborough. So it's very close.
Have you walked it?
And I have, and I've also map quested to answer this question.
Yeah. Are there any questions about housing? Oh, so we have a question, yeah.
Yeah, so we do have a question about how to get a parking permit. The parking permits are fairly expensive. I want to say, I know faculty, staff, I think around student ranges, it's around 500 to 800, I think. And they are not very close to the building. So even when you get a parking pass, you can still be quite a distance from the buildings. And we can double check on the student pricing and email that out to the attendants and make sure that we display that on the websites that we have. We can also, we did receive another question about the Mason Farm housing has closed its application system now. We can definitely double check on that as well. I do know there are fewer housing options at Mason Farm. So we can find out about that information for you all.
Yeah, and definitely take a look at the off-campus housing tool. So if you are interested in finding a roommate, that is a great way. And then also, if you haven't joined our admitted student Facebook group, that's another great way of, interacting with admitted students and seeing who else is looking for roommates.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now we're on to funding and jobs. So how do I find an assistantship? What are the procedures for applying for financial support? What are possible job opportunities? And does the cost of tuition increase as credits increase?
So I think when you start with looking at assistantships, the first place is to contact your program director or concentration lead if you're an MPH student. Unfortunately, we do not have just one person that's in charge of managing this for the entire school. So you do need to start within your program, and your program should have opportunities. They should be able to share opportunities that are currently available and as they come up with you. within the department, within the school. The Graduate Funding Information Center is also a great resource because they email a variety of different options out to students as they become available. And I know, and they can be a wide range from, giving tours at the Graduate Visitor Center. They recently, Carolina Performing Arts recently published an assistantship that was offered for somebody that has a dancing background that can help with one of their visiting scholars who's performing this next year. So,
and even my office, like I posted on our Facebook, our admitted students Facebook page, my office is looking for at least one graduate research assistant for the upcoming year. So please join our Facebook group if you haven't already to get more information on those. Also, so international students are permitted to work on campus as part of your immigration status, and you are able to engage in off-campus employment. However, we implore you to talk with the International Student and Scholar Services to talk about what that would actually look like if you were to find employment off campus as well, to ensure that you're following your employment authorization with your visa status. Yeah. Cost of tuition increase.
Right. So I think that the big thing with the tuition and costs is just always keep in mind that 9 hours is considered full time. If you take less than 9 hours, you are charged per credit hour, and then at 9 hours you are considered full time, and after 9 hours you are considered full time.
Yeah, and please be aware also, as you are international students, the credits in terms of full-time versus part-time does have implications on your visa. So please make sure you talk with the International Student and Scholar Services about, if you fall below full-time status. So just be aware of that, and always keep open communication with International Student and Scholar Services. Looks like we have a question. What are the differences between F1 and J1 visa for international students? I do not know that response. I know that
that's an ISS.
Yeah, that's an ISS question to ask about what those differences are. Yeah.
Let's see.
So we're going back to housing. Are there any limits for international students when finding an apartment in my city? Internationals need proof of income or U.S. guarantor. Does this apply to housing in Chapel Hill as well?
From my experiences, I've never heard of any admitted student having to provide that information for an apartment complex or different off-campus housing opportunity. And of course, with on-campus housing, it is going to be that's something that they basically know that you're prepared to pay because you have been admitted to the university, and they can verify your enrollment. One thing that to kind of keep in mind is that the deposit for a lot of the housing complexes is so important. So that's really kind of what they use as your proof that you're prepared to move to campus and to secure housing.
Mm-hmm. And you should not be asked to provide an entire year's worth of payment for housing options. So please be aware of that. You most likely would be asked for a deposit, but hopefully nothing more than that. Yeah. And we can also put you in touch with current international students if you're interested. So you can discuss, how they went about finding their housing options if you're interested. So on to academics. When is the first day of class? How and when do you find out about signing up or registering for classes? And when will my advisor be assigned to me? So the first day of class is Tuesday, August 20th, but please do be aware that there's orientations that are happening before then. So for those who are MPH students, there's going to be orientation Friday, August 16th in the morning. And then for all incoming international students, please be aware that you have an orientation with ISSS that afternoon, Friday, August 16th from 2 to 6 p.m. So we put the MPH orientation in the morning to ensure that it would not overlap with your required orientation with ISSS. And then for PhD and non-MPH students, your orientation will likely be that following Monday, August 19th. But please check our website for admitted students under welcome events to see further details about those orientations.
And so signing up for classes will be done at kind of different rates depending on your program. One concern people always share is, well, I want to go ahead and sign up because I want to make sure that I don't get bumped out of all my classes. And we do not have that as a problem for incoming students. A lot of the MPH concentration pages have a suggested course schedule, and a lot of the handbooks for the other programs have a list of suggested classes that you take: fall 1, spring 1, fall 2, spring 2, and so on as needed. So we are prepared to make sure that you will have a class to sign up for. I think just to give you a feel of what's going on right now, the universities our faculty student service managers are working right now to make sure that in the end of April and beginning of May, to make sure all of our graduates have met their program requirements. And so about mid-May is when they start to turn the focus to the incoming students, just the same way as when, in a few short years, when you're completing your program and preparing for graduation, you would be the primary focus. And it's just that we want to make sure all of our graduates finish their degree strong and make sure that they meet all of those requirements. So that is kind of, I think about mid-May is when you should start to receive information about registering for classes. And around that mid-May time is when you're going to receive an assignment for an advisor. A lot of the programs our goal is for you to have a meaningful relationship with your advisor. So if for whatever reason you do not gel with your advisor, you don't really feel a strong connection with them, or you've identified somebody else, you do have kind of the opportunity to request to switch an advisor. And if that advisor has availability and is willing to, then it's usually not a problem. And it's not the type of thing where people take it personally. So don't ever hesitate to ask for that. One thing to talk about is also the difference between, an academic advisor and a mentor. An academic advisor is somebody that can help you with what classes to take, meeting the requirements for the program, and all of the kind of technical academic questions. A mentor is kind of an informal relationship that you can have with anybody. It can be somebody in your program, it can be some faculty staff that's here at the school. And that mentorship is where you can get advice and have discussions about your career path and how to better position yourself for your next steps in your career. So I think it's important. It's great if your advisor can be your mentor, but just because somebody is your advisor doesn't mean you can't necessarily have a mentor or other positive relationship with faculty, staff, and even some of your colleagues and classmates may serve as a mentor to you.
Any questions about academics?
So one person has received an email from the registrar. I would definitely contact your student service manager or program director from the program to see if they're okay with you going ahead and registering for classes. You could definitely do that. But so please contact your program directly.
So on to weather. Living here in Chapel Hill, so how is the weather? What type of clothing should I bring, and how cold does it get during the winter? And then we should also say, how hot does it get during the summertime?
Yeah.
So you're, from North Carolina, so how would you?
I think we get a little bit of all 4 seasons here. I'm not a big fan of the winter, but we do occasionally get snow. I personally don't like snow. So the best thing about snow here in North Carolina is it snows and in 2 days it's gone because it melts very quickly. I will say that July, August, about the time of the start of the semester, is going to be the warmest part of the year. It's going to be hot, and we have very high humidity here. So if you are worried that you are sweating and hot and sticky feeling, then don't worry, you're not alone because everybody feels that way. So is that fair?
That is fair. So yeah, so I'm from California originally, Southern California originally. So it's quite a different climate for me here. So the winters are definitely colder. So if you're from a warmer climate, please be sure to bring a winter coat, so you don't get cold because it does get down. So we're on Fahrenheit. So it does get pretty cold and below freezing at times during the winter time. Spring and fall are absolutely beautiful. Today is going to be, warm and sunny, not humid.
Yeah, cool morning.
Yeah, cool morning, warm afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, for summertime, definitely it's hot and humid if you're not used to, especially humidity. That's something that a lot of people are not used to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So bring a wide range of clothing. Is my suggestion. Any more questions about weather or housing, academics? All right. So we just also wanted to provide you with some resources. So we've actually created a great welcome guide for our international students. So it does talk about, arrival information or pre-departure. So when you're still living in your home country to arrival in the United States, it provides all of those housing resources, the 2 links that we have there. Also, if you're coming with any children and with your family, so we have links there for child care and health insurance, things of that, in terms of just providing you with a central location for all of these different resources that you can find here at UNC and in the area. So please take a look at that. And then we have the Office of Student Affairs.
Right. And the Office of Student Affairs is we're here to help you with all parts of your transition to Gillings. And I would also encourage all admitted students to contact their department and program and to contact NIA and I guess everybody to see if they can be connected with current students, because I think it is so important for you to get as many perspectives from current students about their experience. Because I think the more you can learn, the better prepared you are to make a informed decision. And we do understand that this is a big decision and it deserves a lot of thought and reflection going into it. And so just being able to chat with other people and hearing about what they've learned through their process is a great way to gain that information.
Yeah, and then there's the contact information for my office, Research, Innovation, and Global Solutions. So like I said, we liaise with the Office of International Student Scholar Services, just a couple minute walk away at the FedEx building. And we also help coordinate events geared towards, international students. So meet and greet, so you all can get together and share your experiences. So if you have any general questions, we're more than happy to answer, but if they're very specific to your degree program, please do contact, as Johnson said, the department or the concentration lead with those questions. And then there's the Office of International Student and Scholar Services, ISSS, as we like to call them. So they are the university-wide resource for all international students that are here at UNC Chapel Hill. And they have a great frequently asked questions page, and you'll be receiving information from them prior to your arrival as well. So we have several other questions.
So one of the first questions we had, and this is a great question about the breaks between the semesters. So we're on a 2-semester schedule. what we call the fall semester starting in August and the spring semester starting in January. And then we do have a summer session. Um, so the fall semester runs from about that third week in August until about the second week in December is when our exam students start to finish up with exams, and then the spring semester starts about the end of about January 9th, the beginning of the second week in January. And that semester runs until about the first week of May.
Yeah.
And then the summer session, there is kind of a Maymester for, I think it's primarily for undergraduates a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then summer one and summer two. Summer one is in June and summer two session is in July. A lot of our students complete their practicums and internships, I think, between and during the summer session. So after the spring semester ends of year one and fall semester starts of year two, that's when a lot of people will focus on internships. Some people travel for return home during the break between.
We call it the winter break, the holiday
winter break.
Yeah.
So that's always an option, and then some students hang out around campus, especially graduate students during both breaks as well. So it's campus slows down a lot during those breaks, and it's less crowded. So it's always kind of a time where we can really explore the town without the town of Chapel Hill and Carver and the surrounding areas with fewer people. So yeah. I think that's my understanding of what people do during break.
Yeah. Yeah, and we also have some American holidays that we observe. So you'll get some breaks here and there during this semester. So one longer break, I would say, is our fall break and also Thanksgiving break.
Right.
So for Thanksgiving, that's like our big, sharing a meal with our family and friends. And actually, the university hosts any students who stay in town. You can sign up and experience a Thanksgiving meal with others who stay in the area. So that's an opportunity. And, a lot of our international students make friends with other international students and domestic students. And so they end up, spending their downtime exploring the area with their friends that they've made.
Yeah. And it's just that I think also with thinking about this before we jump to the next questions about thinking, about the breaks and the sense of community that I know your office works on to create that for maybe students who aren't able to travel internationally back to their home countries. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit about some of the events that you have that your office sponsors the first few weeks in your office to really welcome international students.
Yeah, so we have a meet and greet. So we invite all of the incoming and international students to get to know one another. So to know that you're not alone experiencing UNC Gillings for the first time. So we like to have a meet and greet at the beginning of the semester for you all to get to know each other and just have that support. And then we also work closely with other units around campus. So it's called International Coffee Hour. So you can go to the FedEx building, which I said is just a couple-minute walk away, and get to meet others around campus. And if you're really, we've really tried to create a community, not here just at Gillings, but if you're looking for some, others from your home country and we may not have them here at Gillings, then we've worked with Duke, our colleagues at Duke and NC State, to really connect our students with others from their home countries. So we really do want to make this a great experience for you. So yeah.
And I think in the Office of Student Affairs, that a big point of emphasis is that we know the first few weeks can be overwhelming for all students. And so we try to have programming that's available for all of our students to help connect you with clubs and organizations that we have here at the School of Public Health. We have about 25 clubs and organizations that are housed here in Gillings that are for students to participate in a wide variety of things from service-based organizations. We have across the university, we have different intramural sports leagues that go on, everything from soccer to kickball. And we always have a school of public health team that is fielded for those events. So I think some of the feedback that we receive from students is that not that there's not enough for them to get involved in, that they have to kind of not get involved in too much, because it's finding that work-life balance as you make that transition, as anybody makes a transition into a new program. So we did receive a request to go back and kind of talk about the difference between an advisor and a mentor. So advisor is going to be the academic person that can help. It's faculty staff that is going to help you with making sure you meet your degree requirements. And the point that I wanted to emphasize is that a mentor, where you can get that professional guidance and have maybe a different, more personal relationship, it doesn't have to be somebody that is your faculty advisor. So you may have positive mentorship relationships with faculty in your department and other departments and staff from around the school. So thinking about that mentorship can provide a little bit of guidance in a way that the advisor can also as well. It's just a different kind of relationship. It's not a formal mentorship program, but just want to make sure that everybody knows they have the opportunity to connect with faculty and staff from around the school, that you don't receive just an advisor and that's the only person that you can go to for help. Is that we hopefully aim to have a culture of support here, where that you feel comfortable in going into different offices and different people to get support and to get advice as you need it. So.
Yeah. And then did you mention a FedEx office? So we use FedEx for short, but it's called the FedEx Education Center. That's just the name of it, but that's where ISSS is housed, along with some other global units. And the FedEx building itself, so that every unit that is within that building serves the entire campus. So that's just for you to know. And you'll be going there, when you meet with ISSS for your, especially for your international student orientation, that's where we'll be at. So you'll get to know that building quite well. And like I said, it's just a couple-minute walk away from our school.
So we received another question about, is attending summer sessions mandatory for MPH students? The summer sessions for the MPH students are going to be the time to complete the practicum, and students can complete their practicum all over North Carolina, the United States, and around the world. So it is a kind of technically class hours, but it's not an official class. So you do not have to be physically on campus for the entire summer sessions. And there's also about a month break, 3-week break between the end of spring semester and the start of summer one. And then there's about a 2 or 3 week break between the end of summer session 2 and fall semester. So there are times built into the summer for students to and take a holiday if they would like to. That's not why, and you can also still complete your practicum.
Yeah, so just be aware for the summer sessions, that's, if you want to register for a course that is in the summertime. So like Johnson said, so the MPH students, you're required to do a minimum of 200 hours for your practicum, and that will take place over the summer. You can decide with the organization that you will be working with for your practicum when that start date and end date is, but it is a minimum of 200 hours, so you can do more than 200 hours, but you will not be needing to register for any credits during your summer months, but that is something that you will have to do, at least in terms of your practicum. So are there any other questions that we can help answer? Do we know if there'll be a webinar for each program?
I do not know of any scheduled webinars for each program coming up. I would just encourage all admitted students to contact the concentration lead for the MPH program and program director for other programs. And if you don't know who to contact, you can contact either Naya or myself, and we can connect you with the correct person. I'm going to type in my email address, or type in both of our email.
Yeah. And then what's the duration for each summer session? I do not know that.
It's about 4 weeks for a summer session, 4.5.
And I can set my email address as well.
Yeah, we've kind of switched computers, so
yeah.
Naya's going to be talking under my name.
So those are our email addresses. So please feel free to email us, and we can connect you to the proper people with the questions that you ask. Yeah. Any other final questions that we can answer for you all? Okay. Well, thank you for joining our webinar. We hope that you found it helpful, and congratulations on being admitted into the Gillings School. Yeah.
We hope that you join us this fall, and most importantly, please don't hesitate to reach out, because we know this is a big decision. We want you to feel informed and of course, welcomed here at Gillings. So
yeah. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful either morning, afternoon, or day wherever you are joining us from. So thank you so much.